All right, thank you so much for that look at the forecast. Now we're switching gears here with our Office on Aging segment. We have Tracy Vandevate in from the Office on Aging to tell us about a couple of programs that they have going on about grandparents as parents. But first, let's talk about the trend as grandparents as parents. Tracy, thanks so much for being in here. Talk about what you've seen in our community.
In the last 5 years, the trend for grandparenting, people that are raising their grandchildren, or maybe an aunt or an uncle that is raising a niece or a nephew, that has gone up nationally and also locally. So we're seeing in Knox County about 5,000 grandparents raising their grandchildren across Knox County, which is just amazing. And we're grateful that they're doing it, so grateful that they're doing it. And what we see is that the opioid epidemic has caused a lot of the rise across the country, and substance misuse is part of that reason. Also incarceration, or we've seen a lot in our program, we've seen a lot of families that have had young people have had very major health issues, which is a little bit surprising. Cancer and other things that have made them unable to care for their child. So a grandparent is caring for that child.
Talk about the program, Grandparents as Parents, and what that provides for those who do have to step up to the plate.
Well, we provide support in lots of different ways. We have support group meetings. We provide referrals for families to access to all sorts of resources and information. We do try to have fun. We also have a newsletter, a monthly newsletter that goes out, and an email bulletin that goes out just to try to connect those families to each other and to a wider audience of resources and information.
Well, I was going to say that connection factor is so important because, you know, I think sometimes parents can have a hard time connecting with their children just because of generational differences, but now you have grandparents on top of that. I mean, talk about how that can be a struggle.
So you have a missed generation in there, and so it is a struggle for a lot of our families to understand school because maybe they haven't been connected to schooling in 40 years, and so school has changed very differently and significantly. Technology is always an issue because it changes so quickly, and people trying to adapt to that technology, and our grandparents are a variety of ages. Some of them are still working, and so they may be working and they've taken in 2 or 3 grandchildren, and so that brings in, well, what are we going to do for child care, and how do we move forward with this? How do we get their birth certificates? Just those little details that are so very important. Some may be retired and they're on a fixed income. And now you bring 3 children in, you know, your retirement years, you've probably feel like you've lost those retirement years, and you're grateful that you can do this, but also there is some loss for grandfamilies and for that, and sometimes their friends walk away from them and they become a little bit isolated.
Grandparents' Day is actually going to be this coming weekend, so make sure that, you know, whether your grandparent is acting as your parent or not, that you give them a big hug, say thank you to them for all that they do. And if people want to learn more about the Grandparents as Parents program, where can they head?
They can head to the Office on Aging and give us a call at 865-524-2786, and they can just reach out and ask for the Grandparents as Parents program.
Fantastic. I'm going to hold up this book here. I know that you guys said that you have a new version coming out in 2024, and so, but this is the version that you guys can go pick up. I'm going to share all these details online at WATE.com, and of course your 6 on Your Side news app, so make sure you download that if you haven't already. Tracy, thank you so much for being in today.
Thank you for having me in.
Of course. We'll be right back with a final look at weather after this break.